Alrighty, my friends, welcome to video lesson number 10. In this lesson, we're going to be discussing dynamic linking. In particular, we're going to be linking together Photoshop, After Effects, and Premiere simultaneously to bring an animated lower third graphic created in Photoshop and animated in After Effects into Premiere for use in the timeline. So let's get started. I've got my dynamic linking project here. I'm going to get into my project folder and open up my Photoshop document first. And you can see I've got a simple lower third graphic here to identify our acupuncturist, Ed Choi. Edward Choi, licensed acupuncturist. And I've got a black background layer here so I can see what it looks like over black. And then I'm also going to bring in a still capture from the timeline in Premiere so I can see what that looks like as well. All right, so I'm going to take this and copy it, bring it into Photoshop here for alignment purposes to make sure that everything is where it should be in terms of placement on screen in relation to our interview subject. Also, we can see I've got my title safe and action safe grid lines here, and everything seems to be placed well in relation to those lines as well. So things are looking good here. I think we're ready to move on to the After Effects portion of this dynamic link. So I'm going to save this document and open up After Effects. All right, let's pop that project open. There it is. All right, so I'm going to now import that Photoshop document into this After Effects project. And this is the important part. It is the fact that I'm importing it into this project that establishes the dynamic link relationship between the two projects. I don't have to turn on some dynamic link switch. It's simply by virtue of the fact that I am importing that document into this project that establishes that dynamic link. Command I, and yep, here's my PS folder, and here's my Photoshop document. Now, there are some choices that need to be made here, and I want to import this not as footage, but as a composition, and I want to retain layer sizes. Okay, it's very important that you check this in the drop-down. Composition, retain layer sizes. That gives us the ability to keep the layers that were created separate, so we can separately manipulate them in order to animate them in After Effects. All right, so I'm going to hit open, and there is another box that pops up with the same question, really. Import kind. I'm going to choose composition, retain layer sizes once again, and make sure that editable layer styles is checked here as well. Hit OK. And you can see I get two separate items in my project panel here in After Effects. Number one is the composition itself. Think of a composition as sort of like a sequence in Premiere. And then in addition to that, I get a folder that has all of my individual Photoshop layers in it. These are all directly out of the Photoshop document itself. Okay? So if I double click on this composition and open it up down here in the timeline in After Effects, you can see all the separate layers, including my reference layer with Ed here and the black background. So I'm going to keep the reference layer with Ed in here active so that I can use that for alignment purposes when I do my animation of the lower third here. I want to make sure that whatever happens doesn't distract too greatly from our interview subject here. So it's good to have a reference of that subject on screen for us to work with. Now, when it comes to the animation portion of this video lesson is not about the animating of a lower third in After Effects. It's about the dynamic linking process And there is another video lesson that does talk about the animation process. So through the magic of editing, we're going to skip through the animation portion of this and come back with all the animation work already done. Here we go. And boom, animation done. There we go. Okay, so now what we want to do is bring this into Premiere. So without dynamic linking, we would have to export this lower third as a file that we would then import into Premiere. So I'm going to turn off my bottom two layers here and send the composition to the render queue. All right, let's do this output really quickly here. And done. Great. So now what we're going to do is jump into Premiere, and I will show you the difference between that output file and the convenience and magic of dynamic linking. Let's jump into Premiere here. Okay, first I'm going to import the file. Bring that into my graphics bin here. And we'll jump into graphics folder. Here it is, right here. Okay. And it is a piece of video that I can easily put over my interview subject here. So I'm going to bring that in right around here. Let's see.
So simply acupuncture.
Let's bring it in right after. He says acupuncture is.
Acupuncture is a
maybe right here on natural. Pull this in.
natural method
There it is.
to obtain and increase blood sugar. It's a natural method to reduce pain and increase blood circulation.
All right, and then we'll fade it right about there. So.
Blood circulation and improve.
Nice. Okay. So it looks great. It does what it's supposed to do.
Method.
But it has one problem. If I want to make a change to this now, I'd have to go back into After Effects, make whatever change in animation I wanted to make here, or possibly all the way back to Photoshop to make any spelling changes, and then back to After Effects and do another export using the render queue, produce another replacement file, and then again bring that into Premiere to see the changes I made reflected. And that could be a real hassle. So if instead we do a dynamic link, we get a much more convenient way to deal with changes. So let's get rid of this from the timeline here. And let's import our After Effects project. Okay, so with our graphics bin selected, we're going to import the After Effects project itself. Navigate to the AE folder, grab the After Effects project, and simply by importing the project, we will be establishing the dynamic link between Premiere and After Effects. Just like we did with the Photoshop document, bringing it into After Effects, we're going to do the same thing with After Effects into Premiere. And actually at that point, we'll be establishing a link between all three programs. Okay, so now we have the After Effects composition in the graphics bin, and it's actually just like a piece of video with some very special extras. All right, so I'm going to place that in the timeline, the same place we put the other one. Right around here on natural. Drop that down. And you can see it looks just like another piece of media here, except it's actually an embedded After Effects project. All right, so I'm going to shorten up the end here, just like we did with our file, and put a fade on the end. And if I play through this,
It's a natural method to
you can see the animation is actually there. The After Effects project is live linked to this, and the animation contained within that project is being executed in the timeline. Pretty magical. Now, where this is a real advantage is if I want to make a change, I don't have to go back, make the change, and re-output a file that I then re-import to Premiere and re-edit to the timeline. Instead, all I have to do is go to my source programs. I'm going to start off with Photoshop here. And instead of Edward Choi being a licensed acupuncturist, how about we make him an independent filmmaker? All right, save our changes, toggle over to After Effects, and bam, it's instantly updated, just like that. Save there, head over to Premiere, and lo and behold, the same thing, updated instantly. This is the convenience and the power of dynamic linking. Now, as cool as it is, you can see I've got a red line over my After Effects project in the timeline here, meaning it requires extra computing power to pull this off. So this isn't something you can do with an underpowered machine. You need something pretty decent in terms of processing power to be able to handle this type of project linking. But if you've got a system that can handle it, it is very convenient. So it really gives you the freedom to very quickly try out different ideas without having to commit to a file output and importation procedure. So again, we've linked together Photoshop, After Effects, and Premiere in a live, dynamic fashion, which enables us to quickly execute modifications to our basic idea in order to find that creative component that works perfectly for the project. Well, that about does it for video lesson number 10, my friends. I'll see you again for another one.